Trinidad Chambliss gets his third start, so let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Steven Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media and a former Ole Miss staff member. We bring in former Ole Miss wide receiver Bill Flowers to give his thoughts on Trinidad Chambliss starting against LSU, and honestly, LSU week as a whole. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment. On your way out, check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every college and pro team is available for you. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download that app today. One thing that's interesting, we were talking about it, Bill. Trinidad Chambliss is going to get his third start, and honestly, that's kind of what I expected to happen, and it's probably the best thing.
Yeah, I think that our offensive line, that's our weakest link. And with Trinidad being able to be so versatile and can run so well and can throw really well, it keeps your offensive lineman from having to do long pass blocks. I think with Austin Simmons being able to do your quick stuff, but having to allow the plays to develop, have dad who can really keep your defense honest and keep the backs from blitzing. If that right there is what will help us win the game. It will take the pressure off the offensive line. It's like anything else. Like if you're a head coach, you're trying to eliminate the pressure on the weakest part of your team, which is the offensive line for pass blocking. And so I think it really helps keep their defense honest, and they have got a great defense. So you have to be able to leverage your strengths as much as you can and take away from the areas that are, most vulnerable.
Let's see. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of Locked On people, and LSU fans are all over that. One of them said if Ole Miss gets or if LSU gets beat by a D2 quarterback, this team didn't deserve to make the playoffs. That was one thing. And the other thing is he said that LSU's defense is going to be like the big brother with a hand on the forehead and you just can't reach it. And it almost felt disrespectful, but honestly, LSU feels remarkably similar to what Ole Miss was going into the Kentucky game a year ago.
Well, first of all, the first overall pick in the NFL draft was an NAI national champion. So he came from Incarnate Word. Were they what division?
They're FCS. They're FCS.
Okay, so it's FCS. It's the same thing. I mean, listen, if I think now you look at the transfer portal, and if you give me the opportunity to get a national championship quarterback who's got great talent that at any level, to me that is a huge I guess area where you can look at it and go, okay, this guy is proven, this guy can lead, this guy can play. So I think he is awesome. I think Austin Simmons is fantastic. But to have two of these guys on your team and to have Trinidad who can do what he does, tell your buddy that he's probably can feel bad about getting beat by a D2 quarterback.
Yeah, seriously, it's hilarious.
And from the defensive standpoint, he's exactly right. I think that if you had, I wouldn't say a Jackson Dart, but if you had somebody that was less mobile, but you really were relying on more of a longer play development, LSU would destroy us. And that's why Trinidad, with his ability to run and to take advantage of a defense having to play honest, it really neutralizes their talent. Anytime that you can neutralize a team's strength, you have a great chance of winning. And I think that's exactly what Trinidad does while Austin Simmons is hurt.
Yeah, and it was a situation. Austin Simmons practiced full go on Tuesday. Everything is fine with him health-wise as far as being healthy, but he's not quite 100%. You do not want to put a quarterback in cold against this defense that might have a bad will.
Well, I think you have to look at it from multiple options. You've got to look at Kiffin's got to make sure that Austin Simmons is happy. You have to really make sure that, hey, I'm going to pet him and make sure that he knows that he's my guy. You're injured right now. That's why you're not the starting guy. We cannot put you in there half cocked. You have to be healthy. You and I both questioned the call on why Austin Simmons, when he went in and did a quarterback design run with a bummed ankle, that you're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you putting the poor kid in a game when he can barely walk and to have a design quarterback run? So there's no way against LSU defense that you can put in somebody that's not fully healthy. But I do think that you have to be really careful on how you manage this situation, because as we know, I mean, look at who was it? It was Ohio State when they had the quarterback who's now the Texans. He was a true freshman. The Texas quarterback went there from out of high school, and he was supposed to be the next coming, and he never got to play because the kid did so well, and he transferred out. So you don't want to see Austin Simmons sit there and see Trinidad play so well that he's so discouraged that he didn't think that there's an opportunity and he leaves in the transfer portal. I think that's something that really has to be, played well. It's a difficult situation for Kiffin because he knows he has such good talent with Austin Simmons, but to have somebody like Trinidad Tobago, who's just absolutely shocked the world, if he can do this against LSU, then I think you really are concerned about, can Austin Simmons stay at Ole Miss and keep him in the cupboard? So I think that's playing in the back of the minds of how they manage this.
I think Austin, he might play against LSU some. I don't think he's going to start, but I do think both of them potentially could play.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be careful. You have to be careful with how good, can our offensive line truly protect him in a 5-step drop? Because essentially that's what you're doing. You're faking and then dropping back about 2 or 3 more steps. You have to let the play develop. If Simmons can't get the ball out of his hand quickly and he gets sacked and can't get out of the way, one, you risk re-injuring his ankle. 2, you're setting him up for failure. So I think that the offensive line is a true liability. And so far, what we're seeing is that if you're going to play Ole Miss, you're going to stack the box as much as you can, push your press man, and force your quarterback to say, you're not going to beat us with the short stuff. You're going to beat us with the deep ball. And that is what I think is going to happen if you have Austin Simmons in there. They're just going to pin their ears back and say, we're going to get to him. We're going to force him out. We're going to force him to make a mistake. He can't run. So I just think you have to be careful with that.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Now we're going to turn our attention to the defensive side of the ball, and what I think my key for the Ole Miss LSU game is going to be when we come back. But first, I do want to tell you about Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention of how we craft every model. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence throughout most every season. Like our players, they sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. And most people can't even name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you end up leaving the money on the table. And that is where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life all together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify that you're not saving as much as you thought. Monarch can help you notice inefficient investment allocations and discover forgotten 401ks from past jobs. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Do us a favor, subscribe and comment and like this video. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever audio podcatcher you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. If you want a little bit more, you can join the Insiders program on the subtext link down below. No trolls, 14-day free trial, and the easiest way ever to cancel. So give that a try. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. All right, so Bill, one thing that's going to be interesting to me, I think the key to this game, and I've said it to College Football Kickoff on Amazon.com. I've said it to Matt Moscona from Locked On LSU. This is my number one key for this game, and that is Ole Miss's defensive line against LSU's running game. Everybody's going to talk about Garrett Nussmeier, but unless you make him one-dimensional, LSU's offense will tie you up in knots.
I think Pete Golden's MO has been, bring exotic blitzes, put a lot of pressure. It's been our MO. It's what's made Ole Miss defense really special. Yes, maybe the defensive line was a little bit more loaded than it was last year compared to this year. But I think that you still have to utilize really, just a lot of pressure. I think Gus is too good of a quarterback to sit back and let him, pick and choose where he wants to throw to. You have to take him off his spot. You're going to have to put pressure on him. And I don't think we can, if we play conservative defense like we've been playing here lately, I don't think it bodes well for us.
Yeah, and I think they're going to turn up the heat a little bit. Suntarine Perkins, for whatever reason, has been doing way too much covering wise indeed. I think they're going to try and scheme up ways for him to get after the quarterback and let him do what he does best. And also the other young guys on the defensive line, they're getting better and better and better. The sacks aren't there yet. But if you looked at what happened at the Tulane game, at the end of the game, whenever Tulane needed a yard, they could not run to get it. The defensive line was able to take advantage. And also, I think Andrew Jones is going to have a role in his athleticism in this game. I think him and Suntarine Perkins, they're going to put them both on the edge and say, go get the quarterback.
Yeah, you're going to have to I think LSU, I think for us offensively, I think LSU could rush three their interior linemen and possibly get to our quarterback. Do I think we could do that? Absolutely not. So you're going to have to utilize those offensive linemen, keep them engaged with our defensive linemen, and bring our backers. I think you're going to have to do that. You have to bring somebody from the edge. You're going to have then do loops. You're going to have to get creative and utilize the strengths that we have. Suntarine Perkins, his, like you said, his money is made when he is seeking, see ball, get ball. That is where he makes his money. And for a game like LSU, I think you have to play to your strengths. The moment you stop playing to your strengths is the moment that you give yourself vulnerability.
All right, tell me how you think this game is going to play out, and give me a prediction.
I think I say 28-21 Ole Miss. I think that Ole Miss could put more points up than 28 points, but that's going to be with Chambliss just utilizing his legs a lot. So I think the run game is going to be really important, and I think that's what's going to keep us honest. That's what's going to keep LSU honest. So I think if Trinidad has more than 100 yards rushing, then we're easily 28 points, and aggressive attacking defense keeps them at 21.
If Trinidad has 100 yards rushing, next week's going to be really weird in Oxford. It just is. You want to talk about quarterback controversy? That's going to get weird if Trinidad rushes for 100 yards against LSU, because you're not going to see a better defense than the LSU Tigers.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's why Trinidad is such a value for Ole Miss right now, is because LSU hasn't seen a quarterback that is so dual dimensional. And so if you're playing a quarterback that's not one dimensional right now, Austin Simmons compared to Trinidad is one dimensional compared to the athleticism as well as a bummed ankle. But when you have somebody that is so athletic and can truly keep the defense honest, by him, the moment he gets 50 yards, 60 yards rushing, their defense has to do something completely different. They're going to have to loosen up. They're going to have to be more protective. They're not going to be able to bring as much pressure. So I think that's why it's important that if Trinidad can get those big runs, it's not going to come by here and there. It's going to be big chunks. That's where he's going to pick it up. I'm excited to see that. I do think that LSU is going to put themselves in a vulnerable spot with him, and then they're going to have to readjust, and that's going to keep LSU on their heels.
Yeah, this is absolutely a massive game. The winner of this game has a really good chance. I like a really good chance to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, this is the true litmus test of how good Ole Miss is. I was talking with some of my Alabama buddies, and I was telling them that Lane Kiffin was hot about it not being a night game, and they're like, "What? What are you talking about? There's no way the LSU Ole Miss game should be rated over the Alabama Georgia game."
Other than the fact that it's higher rated, but whatever.
Yeah, but they did say unequivocally, if Ole Miss beats LSU, then that totally changes the narrative, and Ole Miss is a true title contender. And I think that this will be a great test to see how. I mean, I think our offensive line is our weakest point. I mean, you've got our running backs are looking really strong. The passing game is looking really good. I think Alexander has been a really big spot. We really create a lot of problems for defenses when you have such a great, talented, athletic quarterback that can truly sit back there and on a true pass design play, read his options. Nothing's really open, and then can just take off, and you truly have a tailback with the ball in their hands. That's what Alabama thought they had with Jalen Milrose. I think Jalen Milrose, if Alabama wins, if they had Trinidad, it was a national championship for every year that he plays because of the talent they had around him. So I think that's the kind of talent that he has, and I'm excited to see it. And unfortunately, like I said, if he does beat LSU with his legs and his passing arm, they're going to have a real issue with keeping Austin Simmons around. I mean, it's just the nature of the game. I mean, unfortunately, in the world we live in, because Austin Simmons could go, will have a choice wherever he wants to go to play quarterback.
Yeah, seriously. All right, when we come back, we'll talk to Bill Flowers all about LSU week and the specialness behind that game. But first, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, Bill. One thing that is interesting to me is this game is awesome. And LSU is going to have to come back to Oxford next year with the change of the schedule. And through a quirk, the last time this series kind of had a home and just returned to that same location, you were on the team.
Yep.
Going down to Baton Rouge. What was that like, having to make a trip down there? And I guess it was 2001 and 2002.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, if I could play every game in Baton Rouge, that would have been awesome. I mean, that was my favorite place to play. So, I think it's, you feel kind of not bad for the players at LSU, but it's nice to have that home and away. But to go back to back, it's unique, it's different. But I'm glad to see that Ole Miss is going to play, LSU as their mainstay opponent for the next 4 years. We'll have plenty of time to be in Baton Rouge. So to have 2 years back to back in Oxford, it's good for the Ole Miss fans. It's great for I'm sure the LSU guys love playing in Oxford. But getting to play in the Corn Dog Eaters is always fun.
I've got a weird question. This is a very weird question because in 2002, I was in the Navy and was unable to watch the game. So I only saw the score that Ole Miss lost 14-13. And it was a pass from Eli that bounced off of Tremaine Turner's helmet and was picked up. What happened?
My recollection is that, it was a ball that Tremaine turned and the ball was there, bounced off his head and boink. It happens.
Yeah. So it was one of those situations that LSU, that was the only way that LSU was going to score a touchdown that night. Right. It was something to where it just felt like it was about to be a 13-7 game.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, we had our it wasn't our strong part was the defensive line. It was more we played like, I want to say like 6 defensive backs. We had a complete cloud. And I think that that game that we were actually able to, we had a good run game, but they could not throw the ball. It was a perfect defense for them. And they played really well.
What's your favorite memory against LSU?
Us winning down there. Well, the memory that I have against LSU. It's just me coming out my redshirt freshman year, walking out of the tunnel, and it was like the Rudy moment. It was like I looked up, and there's Mike the Tiger, who has been starved, and he's just growling. And you look up, and it's just 90,000+ crazy people screaming that night. And I remember thinking, if this is college football, I'll remember this for the rest of my life. And, that was 2001. We went down there, we won. But coming in is right after 2011. 9/11. And this guy had a white mat, like a white hazard suit. Mm-hmm. And across his chest said anthrax. And he was spraying the bus. And people were throwing like hamburgers against the bus windows. They were rocking the bus as we were coming in. You had old grandmas showing their grandkids how to flick a bird. It was the wildest moment. Like I thought I had seen college football at its best. Whatever, nothing, zero. There is nothing like that. And that was by far my most memorable moment, probably of college football, of just driving into to Baton Rouge, pulling up to the stadium. The crowd was just already just so lit and loud. That was a awesome memory.
Yeah, Billy Brewer. I think it was Billy Brewer. Whenever he was the head coach at Ole Miss, he'd always take a scenic route whenever they got on LSU's campus to make sure that you could maximize go around that, just because he felt like that got his guys ready to go in the game.
Yeah. I mean, the more hostile the environment is, the better it is to play. Nobody likes to play in a tennis clap environment. You like the hostile. You like the nasty. Like when we did our walkthrough, it was literally 3.5 hours before the game started. And the entire student section was completely full, throwing stuff at us. And you're like, this is amazing. Like this is what it should be like.
Yeah. John Forcade was on my show on Monday, and he talked about his first trip to Tiger Stadium and said they threw like a Jack Daniels bottle at him empty. And John Forcade said that was kind of disrespectful because at least it could have been full. So,
yeah. I mean, I remember hearing that when you play against LSU, you have to be careful and you have to wear your helmet as you go into the tunnels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. And I've been down there. I remember had that moment when I came out of the locker room, because the visitors' locker room in Tiger Stadium, for people that doesn't know, it's on the sideline. So you walk out, and then there was Mike the Tiger. I remember I had that moment too.
Well, and they also the locker room is about this big. Yeah. And it was that we had no hot water, but it was hot as
870 degrees. Yeah.
In the locker room. And I thought, man, this is like, hospitality of your enemies at the finest. They just put you in a little cracker box. Don't give you cold, don't give you hot water. But that was a sweet victory in 2001.
So, how did flag football go this week? Did you get a W?
We didn't. We got better. We got closer. We had to make some changes. But we're improving. The kids are having fun. We got rained out tonight. We got from the thunder that I don't know if you can hear or not. So we got canceled. But we're making strides. We're improving.
All right, Bill. Thank you very much. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
All right. Howdy toddy.
Howdy toddy. Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show out, and it is completely free. Your support means the world to us. And another big moment for Locked On, college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff. It is your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation, a long-time, two-time AP Coach of the Year. Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. I'm going to be on tomorrow's show, by the way. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.